I still remember the day I graduated high school, walking across that stage, shaking the principal's hand, holding that scholarship letter worth $200,000, 4 years of perfect grades, countless sleepless nights, working part-time at the pizza shop since I was 16. All of it finally paid off. I thought my parents would be proud. I thought they would hug me, maybe even cry happy tears. Instead, when I told them about the scholarship, their eyes changed. Not with pride, with something else, something that made my stomach turn. They started asking questions about the money, how much, when I would get it, where it would go. I had no idea that conversation would end with my own parents throwing me out on the street that same night. Before I tell you how I ended up homeless at 18 with nothing but a duffel bag and a scholarship letter, I want to know where you are watching from. Drop your location in the comments below. And if you have ever felt betrayed by the people who were supposed to protect you, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story is going to show you that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. Now let me take you back to where it all started. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where the high school football games are the biggest events of the year, where dreams feel too big for the horizon. My father worked as a mechanic at the local auto shop. Grease under his fingernails, calloused hands, the smell of motor oil permanently embedded in his work shirts. My mother was a cashier at the grocery store on Main Street. She worked the evening shift, came home, tired feet, aching, counting tips in the dim kitchen light. We lived in a small 3-bedroom house at the edge of town. The paint was peeling. The roof leaked when it rained hard. The heater rattled in winter. But it was home, or at least I thought it was. Money was always tight. I learned early not to ask for much. New shoes only when the old ones had holes. School supplies bought from the clearance bin in August. Birthday presents were practical, never extravagant. I did not mind. I understood. I saw how hard they worked, so I worked hard too. I studied every night at the kitchen table after my parents went to bed. I took every advanced class my school offered. I joined academic clubs, competed in science fairs, earned awards that I hung on my bedroom wall, and when I turned 16, I got a job at the pizza place downtown. 4 nights a week, I made dough, took orders, mopped floors. Every paycheck went into a savings account. College fund, I told myself, my ticket out. By senior year, my GPA was perfect. 4.0. My test scores were high enough to catch the attention of recruiters. And then the letter came. Full scholarship to a prestigious university in California. Tuition room, board, books, and a monthly stipend of $1,500 for living expenses. It covered everything. It was more than I had ever dreamed possible. I planned a small dinner at home the night I wanted to tell them. I cooked spaghetti, their favorite, set the table with the nice plates we only used on holidays. I was nervous, excited. I imagined my father clapping me on the back, my mother tearing up with joy. When they sat down, I handed them the letter. I watched their faces as they read. Silence. Long, uncomfortable silence. My father looked up first. His expression was blank. Not happy, not proud, just blank. My mother folded the letter carefully, set it on the table. Then my father spoke. So this means they give you money. I explained how it worked. The scholarship paid the school directly for tuition and housing. But yes, there was a cash component. $1,500 a month deposited into my account for food, transportation, personal expenses. It was not a fortune, but in a city like San Francisco, it would be tight. That is when I saw it. The shift in their eyes. Something lit up. Not warmth, not pride, something colder. Something that made my skin prickle. My mother leaned forward. That is a lot of money for one person, Vincent. I laughed nervously. Not really, Mom. California is expensive. Rent alone near campus is crazy. I will need every bit of it. But my father was not laughing. He sat back in his chair, arms crossed. You know, son, we have sacrificed a lot raising you. Fed you, clothed, you put a roof over your head for 18 years. That is not cheap. I felt the air change. The warmth I had tried to create with the dinner, the candles, the effort, all of it evaporated. I do not understand, I said slowly. My mother reached across the table. We are just saying, Vincent, that family helps family. We are struggling here. Your father's hours got cut last month. My shifts barely cover the bills. If you are getting all this money, maybe you could help out. Send some home. The knot in my stomach tightened. I tried to stay calm. I need that money, Mom. For school, for living. I cannot just give it away. Her face hardened. Give it away. We are your parents. We are not asking for all of it. Just half. It is the least you can do after everything. Half I could barely breathe. That would leave me with $750 a month in one of the most expensive cities in the country. I explained this. I showed them the budget I had already drafted, food, books, transportation, emergencies. It was already going to be tight. My father stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. Then maybe you should reconsider. Go to community college here, live at home, work full time, use that scholarship money to help this family instead of running off to California to live like some rich kid. I stared at him. This scholarship is my future dad. This is my chance to build a life. And what about our life? My mother's voice was sharp now. We have been barely scraping by while you have been focused on yourself. Now you finally have something to contribute and you want to keep it all. I felt anger rising. This is not about keeping it all. This is about survival, about making something of myself. The argument escalated, voices raised. My mother called me selfish. My father said I was ungrateful. I tried to reason with them, tried to make them see that this was my one shot. But they were not listening. They did not care about my dreams. They cared about the money. Finally, my father went to the drawer by the kitchen phone. He pulled out a stack of papers, sat them on the table in front of me. We talked it over, he said. If you want to keep living under this roof until you leave, you need to contribute. Sign this. I picked up the papers. It was a typed agreement. A contract stating that I would transfer $1,000 every month to them once the scholarship payment started. My hands shook as I read it. This is insane. You have 3 choices, my father said coldly. Sign this. Go to school here and work, or get out. I looked at my mother. Surely she would stop this. Surely she would see how wrong this was. But she just sat there, arms folded, jaw set. Well, she said, I am not signing this, I said quietly. I am not giving you my future. My mother stood up. Her face was red. After everything we have done for you, you selfish, ungrateful brat. My father pointed toward the stairs. Then pack your things. You have got 1 hour. I stood there frozen, waiting for them to laugh, waiting for someone to say it was a test, a bad joke. But they just stared at me, cold, unmoved, strangers. I turned and walked upstairs. My legs felt numb. In my room, I pulled out my old duffel bag, the one I used for overnight trips to academic competitions. I stuffed clothes into it, my laptop, phone charger, toothbrush, a few books. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely zip it closed. I looked around the room, the posters on the wall, the bed I had slept in since I was 5, the desk where I had studied countless hours. Every corner held a memory, and now I was leaving it all behind. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. I heard footsteps on the stairs. My father appeared in the doorway. Time is up. Let's go. I slung the bag over my shoulder, walked past him without a word, down the stairs. My mother was standing by the front door, arms crossed over her chest. I stopped, looked at her one last time, hoping, praying she would change her mind. She spoke, her voice flat. You made your choice, Vincent. Do not come crying back when you realize how hard the real world is. Those words hit me harder than anything physical ever could. The woman who gave birth to me, who tucked me in as a child, who I thought loved me. She was throwing me away like garbage. My father opened the door. You are not our responsibility anymore. I stepped outside. It was late May, warm evening, but I was shivering. The door slammed shut behind me. I stood on the porch of the house I grew up in, and I had never felt more alone in my life. I pulled out my phone, called my best friend Marcus. He answered on the second ring. I could barely get the words out. He told me to come over immediately. His parents would help. I caught the bus across town, my duffel bag heavy on my lap. I stared out the window, tears streaming down my face. Not because I lost a house, but because I lost my family. Or maybe I never really had them to begin with. Maybe to them I was never really a son, just an investment. And when that investment did not pay out the way they wanted, they discarded me. The betrayal was suffocating. 18 years. 18 years of believing they cared. And it all came down to money. I wiped my eyes. Made myself a promise. I would prove them wrong. I would survive this. I would build a life they could never touch. Marcus's family took me in without hesitation. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Harrison, set up the guest room for me, told me I could stay as long as I needed. They did not ask for money. They did not ask for anything. They just helped. That summer I worked 2 jobs. Morning shift at a coffee shop, night shift unloading trucks at a warehouse. I saved every cent I could. By the time August rolled around, I had enough for a plane ticket and some starter cash. I flew to California alone, moved into the dorm with a single suitcase and my duffel bag. My roommate was a guy named Eric from Oregon. Nice enough, We did not talk much that first semester. I was too focused, too determined. I threw myself into my classes. Engineering was brutal. Long nights in the library, problem sets that made my brain ache. But I loved it. Every challenge felt like proof. Proof that I could do this, that I did not need them. The stipend money was tight. I ate ramen more nights than I cared to count. Bought used textbooks. Walked everywhere to save on bus fare. But I made it work, and my grades stayed high. 3.9 GPA my first semester, 3.95 my second. By sophomore year, I applied for a research assistant position with one of my professors. Got it. It paid $12 an hour. Not much, but it helped. Junior year, I landed an internship at a tech company in Silicon Valley. They paid $25 an hour. I worked there every summer and winter break, learned real-world skills, made connections, impressed the right people. By the time senior year came around, they offered me a full-time position starting after graduation. $85,000 a year. Benefits, stock options. I accepted on the spot. Graduation day was bittersweet. I walked across that stage in my cap and gown, shook hands with the dean. Received my diploma with honors. I looked into the crowd, saw the Harrisons cheering, saw Marcus throwing his fist in the air, my girlfriend Sarah, who I had met sophomore year, blowing me kisses. But there was an empty space where my parents should have been. I felt it, that hollow ache, but I did not let it ruin the moment. I had done this without them, and that mattered. I moved into my own apartment in San Francisco, 1 bedroom, small but mine. I bought furniture piece by piece, a couch from a thrift store, a bed frame I assembled myself, plates and silverware from discount shops. Every item felt like a victory. I was building a life, brick by brick, and no one could take it from me. For 5 years I did not hear from my parents. Not a call, not a text, not a birthday card, nothing. At first it hurt. I would see other people with their families and feel that sting. But over time the pain faded. I built a new family. Marcus and the Harrisons visited me twice a year. Sarah and I got serious, talked about the future. My co-workers became friends. I had poker nights, weekend hikes, dinner parties. I had a life, a good one. And then one Saturday evening in late October, everything changed. I was in my apartment working on a presentation for a big meeting on Monday. My phone was on silent. I was deep in focus when I heard the doorbell. I was not expecting anyone. I walked to the door, looked through the peephole, and froze. My parents, standing in the hallway, 2 large suitcases beside them. I could not move, could not breathe. 5 years of silence, and now this. I opened the door slowly. They smiled, like nothing had ever happened, like they had not destroyed me. Surprised, my mother said brightly, "We thought we would come visit our successful son." My father looked past me into the apartment. "Nice place you have got here. Bigger than I expected for someone your age." I stood in the doorway blocking their entry. "What do you want?" My mother's smile faltered slightly. "Is that any way to greet your parents?" "We wanted to reconnect, Vincent. We have missed you." My father nodded. "We have been thinking. You are doing so well now. We are getting older. It makes sense for us to move out here, move in with you. Family should stick together, right?" And there it was, the real reason. They had found out I was successful, probably through social media, probably through old acquaintances, and now they wanted a piece of it. I felt rage bubbling up. "How did you find my address?" "We have got our ways," my mother said lightly. "It was not that hard. You are all over LinkedIn." I clenched my jaw. "You cannot just show up here and expect to move in." My father's expression hardened. "Come on, son. Let bygones be bygones. We made mistakes, but we are family. You owe us that much. I owe you." My voice was shaking now. "You kicked me out 5 years ago. You called me selfish. You chose money over your own son. And now you show up because you think I will just forget that." My mother stepped forward. "We were stressed, Vincent. We did not know what we were doing. We are sorry. Can we not just move past this?" Her apology sounded rehearsed, empty. I looked at both of them, saw no real remorse, just entitlement, just greed. I took a deep breath. "No, you are not moving in. You are not even coming inside." My father's face turned red. "After everything we did raising you, this is how you repay us." I stared at him. "You got repaid the night you threw me out. We are done here." I closed the door, locked it. They started pounding, shouting, demanding I let them in. I called building security, told them I had uninvited guests who would not leave. 2 security guards escorted my parents out of the building. I watched from my window as they dragged their suitcases down the street, arguing with each other. That night I did not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The next morning, I called a lawyer, explained the situation. She recommended I file for a restraining order, told me it was within my rights given the circumstances. I filed the paperwork that week, detailed everything, the night they kicked me out, the 5 years of silence, their sudden reappearance demanding to move in, the harassment when I refused. The court granted the order, 500 feet. They were not allowed within 500 feet of me, my home or my workplace. When they received the notice, they called, over and over, left voicemails, angry ones, pleading ones, threatening to contest it. I blocked their numbers. They tried reaching me on social media. I blocked them there too, reported their accounts. Eventually the calls stopped, the messages stopped. They realized I was serious, that I was not going to cave, and they gave up. For the first time in 5 years, I felt truly free, not just physically, but emotionally. I had drawn a line, protected myself. And I did not feel guilty about it. A few months after the restraining order, I got promoted at work, senior engineer. It came with a significant raise and more responsibility. I was sitting in my new office one afternoon, looking out at the San Francisco skyline, and I found myself reflecting on everything that had happened. The journey had been brutal. Those first months after being kicked out were some of the darkest of my life. I felt abandoned, worthless, like I did not matter to anyone. But slowly I healed. Not because the pain went away, but because I found people who actually cared. Marcus and his family treated me like I was their own. They celebrated my wins, supported me through failures, never asked for anything in return. That was what family was supposed to be. Sarah, my girlfriend, became my anchor. She knew my story, never pitied me, just loved me. We talked about getting married someday, building a life together, having kids we would actually support and cherish. The idea of being a parent myself used to terrify me. What if I turned out like them? But Sarah reminded me that I already knew what not to do, and that was half the battle. I did not hate my parents anymore. Hate requires energy, and I had none left to give them. Instead, I felt something closer to pity. They threw away a relationship with their son for money they never even got. They would never know the man I became, never meet my future wife, never hold their grandchildren. They chose greed, and greed left them with nothing. Meanwhile, I had everything, a career I was proud of, people who loved me for who I was, not what I could give them, a sense of peace I never thought I would find. I learned that boundaries are not cruel, they are necessary. Saying no to people who hurt you is not selfish, it is self-preservation. And sometimes the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally are the ones you need to walk away from. I started calling Mr. and Mrs. Harrison, Mom and Dad. They earned those titles. They showed up when it mattered. They proved that family is not about blood. It is about choice, about who stands beside you when everything falls apart. I made sure they were part of every important moment in my life. They were at my graduation, my promotion celebration. They will be at my wedding when that day comes. One evening, I was having dinner with Sarah at our favorite restaurant. She asked me if I ever regretted getting the restraining order, if I ever wondered what would have happened if I had just let them in that night. I thought about it, really thought about it, and the answer was no, because letting them in would have meant letting them back into my life, into my head, into my peace. They did not deserve that access, not after what they did. I told Sarah about the night they kicked me out, how I sat on that bus with tears streaming down my face, how I felt like my entire world had collapsed. But you know what she said? It did collapse, and you built a better one from the ground up. That takes strength most people will never have. She was right. I did not just survive, I thrived, and I did it on my terms. I did not compromise my future for their comfort. I did not sacrifice my dreams to fund their failures. I chose myself, and that was not selfish, it was survival. The restraining order was not about revenge, it was about protection, about making sure they could not show up and destabilize the life I had worked so hard to create. Some people will call that cold, unforgiving, but those people have never been betrayed by the ones who were supposed to protect them. They have never had to choose between their own well-being and someone else's expectations. I made my choice, and I stand by it. Now when I look back on everything, I see it clearly. The day I said no was not the day I lost my parents. It was the day I finally found myself. I learned that I am stronger than I ever thought possible. That I can build a life from nothing. That love is not something you are owed. It is something you earn. And the people who truly love you will never make you choose between them and your future. So to anyone out there who has ever felt trapped by family obligations, by guilt, by the idea that blood means you owe someone everything, I want you to hear this. You do not. You do not owe anyone your peace. You do not owe anyone your success. You do not owe anyone access to your life if they have only ever taken from it. Walking away is hard. It hurts. But sometimes it is the only way to truly move forward. 5 years later, I am sitting in an office I earned, living in a home I built, surrounded by people who chose to love me, and my parents. They are strangers bound by DNA, nothing more, and I am okay with that, because I learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the hardest thing you will ever do is walk away from the people who were supposed to love you unconditionally. But sometimes that is also the most important thing you will ever do, because you cannot build a future while carrying people who only see you as a paycheck. And 5 years later, looking at the life I have built, the family I have chosen, and the peace I have found, I know I made the right call. The day I said no was not the day I lost my parents. It was the day I finally found myself. I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? Have you ever walked away from someone who was supposed to protect you? Drop your story in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, if you have ever felt like you had to choose between your future and someone else's expectations, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because I share real stories about real struggles and real survival. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it is okay to put themselves first. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And I hope wherever you are in your journey, you find the courage to choose yourself. You deserve that. Take care of yourselves. And remember, family is not who you are born to. It is who shows up when it matters.